So when it comes to protecting their brand, Nintendo is one of those companies that really likes protecting their brand. If somebody does something with their properties or their games and things like that, they really want you shut down and they want to copyright strike you and things like that. They make a really big deal about it. If you didn't know, recently there was a game called Super Mario 64 Online. So this guy pretty much took this Super Mario 64 game from the N64 and put online functionality to it, and then he made it his own. Well, Nintendo's like, we're gonna copyright strike you and have that thing removed. And that's kind of a shame because a lot of people love Nintendo. They want to do different things with Nintendo games, but Nintendo is stopping people from doing their own things with Nintendo games. Last year, if you remember, prior to Samus Returns on the 3DS, around the time Federation Force came out, and we all know how Federation Force turned out. Metroid Federation Force was actually a pretty bad game, to be honest. Let's be honest. You don't have to lie right here. We all know that game was pretty bad, to be honest. They just slapped on Metroid 2 Federation Force. It probably wasn't even a Metroid game at first. It was probably some other weird game, and then they got lazy, or they just wanted to bank off it, so then they named it Metroid Federation Force. But anyway, this other kid actually made a game called Another Metroid 2 Remake, which came out sometime last year as well. So you can see a lot of fans are devoted to making these mods to Nintendo games, making their own creations and things like that. But Nintendo does not want those things to happen, and it's really a shame. Why is it a shame? Because, well, let's face it, some people are actually doing better things, in my opinion, that Nintendo aren't doing. How cool is it that Super Mario 64 gets online functionality? It's too bad now, if you haven't downloaded the game, it's too late. You can't play the game because they're making this guy take down the game forever, which pretty much does suck. So you're never going to get a chance to play Super Mario 64 Online or another Metroid 2 remake, which does definitely suck. It kind of sucks that Nintendo doesn't want people creating other good stuff out of Nintendo properties. Why does Nintendo always gotta protect their brand? I understand that it's Nintendo and it's a company. They want to protect their brands. They want to do it their way, and I have the utmost respect for it, and I have to respect them for protecting their own brands. It is their own properties, and they don't want people doing anything weird. But sometimes you have to let it go and realize some of these people are actually doing better things with your games than you're actually doing with your own properties. Like, for instance, that Another Metroid 2 remake people have been saying is actually one of the best Metroid games in years, and this was a fan-made game, which is absolutely nuts. That guy probably should have been hired for Nintendo, to be honest, because he was making a game that everyone loved, everyone liked in the modding and even gaming community, and even people who love Nintendo absolutely loved that game. It actually could have passed as a regular Nintendo game, which is actually the crazy part about this whole story too. And something else that's really cool, but going back to the Super Mario 64 thing, is the fact that who would want to add online to the game? Of course not Nintendo, but I think honestly that's a brilliant idea. I'm hoping more Nintendo games in the future get online functionality, especially since we're going to have to start paying for online functionality when it comes to the Nintendo Switch. So having more games with online functionality is actually a very great deal, but Nintendo just wants to stop it. I don't know why. Sometimes they just let these things go through. If you remember way back in the day, there used to be this game by Valve called Half-Life. Of course, everyone's still waiting for Half-Life 3, but that's not the point. The point is about Half-Life is the way one of their biggest games right now is, and still will probably be their biggest game ever made by Valve, is Counter-Strike. The only reason Counter-Strike was able to be produced is because someone modded Half-Life and turned it into a first-person shooter, which then became Counter-Strike, and then people played Counter-Strike. I'm not going to say if it wasn't for this modding scene, then Counter-Strike wouldn't be a game today. But it's crazy that at least they do care. Some companies actually don't mind if you mod their stuff or if you do different things, but Nintendo's one of those people that does not want people doing anything with their stuff. They gotta shut this stuff down immediately. They just sometimes, I think what Nintendo's problem is, sometimes they just don't want to admit that what other people are doing with their games are actually probably better off than what they're actually doing as a company. They don't want to admit defeat sometimes, and they should admit defeat, and they should actually sign these people, like the guy who made Another Metroid 2 remake. They should definitely sign this kid, because that game, like I said before, could have easily passed as a full-fledged Nintendo game. They could have got him on board with the next Metroid game. They could have signed him and he could have made a brand new game in the Metroid series, or maybe they could have published that game as an actual Nintendo game. I don't see why not, because it played very well and everyone was very happy about it. It just sucks that Super Mario 64 Online is officially not longer a game, because they recently told this kid to take down the game, so you can no longer play Super Mario 64 Online unless you already have downloaded it. Same thing with the another Metroid 2 remake. It's already been shut down, but that's been about a year ago prior to what I'm saying, so of course it's no longer available to download, which kind of sucks. I wonder what's going to happen with a lot of these remakes with these Pokemon ROM hacks and Mario ROM hacks, because there's probably more out there on the market or on the internet which Nintendo either can't find or they're too lazy to go track down because there's so many of them. I wonder what's going to happen with them. So if you ever are wondering of thinking about hacking a Nintendo game and making it your own, modding it, or if you're thinking about making your own Nintendo game based off a Nintendo property, just know that you probably will be caught by Nintendo, and this is unfortunate news. They don't love their fans that much. You would think as a company, Nintendo would be very glad to see other people making games from their franchises or modding current or recent games that Nintendo has already made, just adding different functionality to them. It's just kind of a shame. Anyway, guys, peace out. I'll see you guys later in my next video. I'm out, guys.